Okay, I have 2 over 3 divided by 1/4. So I'm going to make a square and make 3 rows because the denominator is 3. Then I'm going to make another square and make 4 columns because the denominator is 4. Okay, now I'm going to shade in the parts. This one it has 2, so I'll shade in 2. This one has 1 part, so it's 1 that I shade. Now I'm going to combine the columns and the rows together to form my new squares. So I'll draw a square again, and I'll draw the 3 rows. Okay, now I'm going to draw the columns, and I'm going to draw 4 columns. And then the same thing for the second square. I'm going to draw 3 rows and 4 columns. And again, I do this because I combine both of the squares. So this is like finding the common denominator. Now I'm going to shade in the same amount of space that I have above. The same for the next square. Now I'm going to count the second fraction, and it has 3 squares. So I'm going to make sure that I have 3 squares in the first square. So I've counted 1, 2, 3, that's 1. 1, 2, 3, that's 2. So I have 2. And then I have 2 left over. And that's going to be over 3 because that's what I have in my other square. So the answer is 2 and 2/3. Okay, so we found how many 1/4 are in 2/3. So the next problem is 3/4 divided by 1/2. So again, we're going to make 4 rows because that's the denominator. And now for the second square, we're going to have 2 columns because that's the denominator. So we're going to find how many 1/2 are in 3/4. So we're going to shade in 3 parts. And for this one, we're going to shade in 1. Now for our new squares, we're going to combine the columns and the rows together. And that's to find the common denominator. So we're going to draw 4 rows and 2 columns. And then we're going to shade in the same amount that has been shaded on the first square, but we're going to shade in the second square. Okay, so now we're going to count the number of little squares in that big square. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to see how many of those 4 are in the first square. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1 set. So we just have 1 set, and then we have 2 left over. So we're going to have 2 over 4 because that's what the total amount of squares is in the second square. And we're going to simplify to 1 and 1/2. And that is the answer.